I have CEOs of companies where we were having a conversation. He's like, yeah, it's just so bad. I haven't talked to her in 2 weeks. I'm like, that is not going to help you solve the problem. And we'd already gone through LMA, how to be a great boss, right? 4 obsessions of an extraordinary executive, all of those things. And people are my passion, which is why LMA and the people component, honestly, are my favorite thing. If 84% of issues are on 2 feet, you can fix
Ah,
84% of your business
I-
by dealing with just the people component.
Thanks for coming on, Jackie. You've got a great newsletter you put out. And what caught my attention was you had a great article, I thought, on LMA. And the reason it caught my attention is I find myself talking with people about LMA and pointing back to it so much.
Yeah.
And as I was telling you before we hit record, people, I feel like it's such a simple concept. It's easy to dismiss it.
Yeah.
And yet it's a good thing to revisit, I feel like.
So I think people say a lot, "I get it. Oh, yeah, coaching. Oh, yeah, I get it. I manage. Oh, yeah, sure. I get that." What's the difference between leading and managing? I don't know. How do you do both? I don't know. So I think a lot of people say they get it because conceptually they get it. They just don't do it, which, by the way, also ties with EOS. The concepts with EOS in its purest sense, simple stuff. Doing it, very complicated because it
Mhm.
has to be have consistency.
I think where I've seen people struggle with it is they'll do that first read. And, okay, I get it conceptually. And maybe even I can check the box on what the things were, although rarely, but sometimes I'll read them. And then when it comes time to even just things like giving people feedback on their performance, like using a quarterly conversation,
Yes.
I see that just get, oh, yeah, we talk about it. But where do you see teams struggle?
Oh my God, with that particular thing all over the place. If you're my manager and I'm not doing something, you would probably do everything, including just not talk to me to avoid having that conversation. I have CEOs of companies. There's one that specifically I'm thinking of where we were having a conversation. It's just so bad. I haven't talked to her in 2 weeks. I'm like, that is not going to help you solve the problem. And we'd already gone through LMA, how to be a great boss, right? 4 obsessions of an extraordinary executive, all of those things. And people are my passion, which is why LMA and the people component, honestly, are my favorite thing. If 84% of issues are on 2 feet, you can fix
Ah,
84% of your business
I-
by dealing with just the people component.
yes. So that is 100%. I haven't ever heard it expressed that way. I love that. 84% of the issues are on 2 feet. But it is. I was at an EO event last quarter, and when they did a survey, like, what are your biggest problems? It was people for everybody.
Yes.
Like, cash shows up, but people was the top one.
Yeah. No, it really is. And here's the thing with cash. Cash, if the usually it's either selling the product or not selling it, marketing or not marketing it. A lot of those still go back to not having the right people in the right seat. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah. So quarterly conversations are huge. And the coolest thing with quarterly conversations is it's not a performance review. It's you talking to me about how I'm feeling. I'm talking to you about how you're feeling. What can I do better? What can you do better? Having those one to ones is huge. Those connecting the dots is the biggest way to ensure that you're on the same page. And so many people don't do it. I think one of the biggest things with EOS and like how to be a great boss, LMA, is that before EOS, I would say half of the people that I worked with, whether I was being managed to or I was on a team where they were managing, maybe even me. And I was a psych major, I was a crisis counselor, so I was trained in active listening and question techniques. That's way before a lot that's like my it goes to my passion being around people, but,
Mhm.
like, you learn what to do, but also what not to do from other people.
I would
It's
agree with that. I would agree with that. I had studied martial arts with this fantastic grandmaster for years. And relatively early on now, as I get older, So you're going to get to a point where you have to teach in order to grow because it's going to make you change how you look at things. And I think it's the same case when you're trying to help people. You're doing any type of coaching, you see what not to do and you're like how big the mistakes of even a small thing can get magnified.
Yes.
So I really like that idea of distinguishing leadership from management. How do you like to get your clients to think about that so that they do have clarity between those two different parts of the LMA equation?
So if you look at a leader or leading, very much about vision, very much about strategy, very much about thinking, very much about providing. I'm going to paint a picture. Actually, that's what it is. It's painting a picture.
Hmm.
Managing day-to-day operations. It's me and you one to one, me coaching you one to one. It's not painting the picture, it's making sure that our colors are the right color for the picture. So we're making sure that and we don't go out of the lines, and I'm managing you to make sure that you're coaching you to make sure that you are using the right paint for the picture to become realized. I've never described it like that. It just
I thought that sounded like it was your normal way of describing it.
I just sometimes come out with them, but
Okay.
those are really it. It's really one is on the business, one is in the business. One is leading, duh. One is vision, one is execution. I look at one as the Pied Piper, "Follow me to the promised land," and then the other one is, "Here's how you walk to take the steps to the promised land."
Something in the article that first caught my attention. All of them have been good, but you talk about the need to really rally the team around your vision and your culture. And that's for any leader.
Yes.
And I think that gets missed because, yes, it's a primary job of a visionary to be the guardian, I think, a lot of times of that vision, but it's everybody on the leadership team's job to communicate that all the way across the organization.
Yep.
Or correct me and reorient me if I didn't say that.
No, I love that because what you just talked about was and if I can say it 2 ways, that'd be great. First, you're the CEO and I'm on your leadership team. We have agreed on this vision. We've brought it through the organization. But you're the vision. I've got to make sure it happens. That everybody understands what that really means and manage to it. So that's the first part. And that's the more advanced part. What happens with a lot of companies, and there's this one company that I'm working with, and you're gonna laugh, but this is my 3rd time working with them. I the CEO said to me, I guess I wasn't ready yet." And I just love him because I fall in love with my clients. It's true. It's really that's you could see I'm expressive and absolutely love it, but when he said what he said, that's what made me go back a 3rd time. But what is hilarious is when I was with him the first time, he was talking about his vision, and he was like, "I don't understand why no one else can see it." I'm like, "Did you tell him?" And he's, "Oh, yeah, no, I guess that's why." So, 2 different ways. One is very, like, you've got amazing ideas in your mind, but you have to share them. No one is gonna be as clairvoyant as you are. And then the second one is once you've gone beyond that and you've got this vision and CEO, visionary, you are speaking to that vision, and every other person that works in a leadership function needs to manage to make sure that we're following that day in and day out and driving towards it.
I agree with that.
Probably more of an answer than you wanted, right?
No, not at all. That's exactly, I think, the type of information that's helpful because a lot of leaders need to hear it. I think that what I see happen with leadership team members it's not that they're not open to EOS, but it's more something that's coming from someone else. Maybe it's coming from the CEO, or maybe you've got a CEO and an integrator who are like, go EOS. The lexicon, like all the different terms, can be very intimidating. And you
For
hear
sure.
them. What I see people do is, okay, I get it. I read the book. I remember there's an LMA thing. What is LMA again? And it's not like everyone's so worried about being called to task for not remembering the acronym. And that becomes the stressor instead of, oh my God, this is a great tool.
Yeah.
this is something that can really help me think about my seat in the accountability chart and help me communicate the seats of each of my people. Because just like the visionary has to have the vision and communicate it to people, like you just mentioned, was a leader, I have to be able to communicate the vision of the seats I've set up in my accountability chart and how I'm going to measure your success and how your success feeds into the company. And I feel like LMA, I know, I don't know, it's easy to say, oh, this is the one tool, but that's when I think of LMA, that's what I think of. Here's a great way for you to know that this is part of your job description. You
Yeah.
have to go do this. It may feel uncomfortable, but it's part of the gig. And then as soon as people start doing this, oh, wow, I've become a better leader and manager.
Yes. Yes. It's true. And I have had people that I've worked with for 6 months ask me what LMA is when we're going through the accountability chart. Here's the thing, and I am EOS. Everything that I do is around EOS, but and you don't have to be doing EOS to understand that we need to manage to the vision the plan
Mhm.
and the vision to help grow our company. And that communication is the way to ensure a proper connection with someone who's reporting to us, right? So,
100%.
yeah, I love EOS because I love the tools and I love the process around it, and I've seen what it can do with companies. I've had clients do amazing things, but at the end of the day, if you're hired just because I'm the best salesperson doesn't mean you should promote me to a manager, because the part that might be missing might be managing to expectations with other people and leading.
1000%.
Yeah.
I've seen, and in particular in sales roles,
Yeah.
I've seen some of the best salespeople on the planet fail at sales leadership because it's become so automatic that they haven't had to reflect on it or think about it or learn to develop other people. They're just that incredible at sales.
Yes.
And then by the same token, one of my favorite team members at one of our clients, he's a first time manager. And because of that, he just, have you ever heard of the idea of beginner's mind? It's a Zen, I think it's a Zen Buddhism concept. Like you approach something as though you know nothing.
Yeah.
So he's approached becoming a leader and a manager that way. And he's doing everything by the book with the tools. He's doing a better job than no, or I'll put it this way, no one's doing a better job than him.
That's so
And he's
cool.
doing a much better job than a huge number of the people that I've met in my career, just because he's being so intentional and just going, "Oh, I need to use this tool. The tool's here. I'm going to use it." Oh, he's just being almost algorithmic with it. And because he doesn't have, there's no ego involved. He's very upfront. It's my first time managing.
Yeah.
He's doing amazing. They're building out his org underneath him.
That is so cool.
And he doesn't even, there's no like, when he talks about, it, he's like purely thinking about like, how do I get to whatever the next skill is? Because he's not fighting the concepts or anything. He's just learning them. Where I've seen more seasoned leaders just get turned off by, why do I have to go learn this? Which is unfortunate because
It
it can
is.
be so empowering.
Yeah. I'll tell you, so one of the core values, I'm sure you know this with EOS, is humbly confident, grow or die. I'll use
Mhm.
grow or die. It's both, but we would rather, like, I learn from everybody. I'm also an EOS coach. So that means I train people who want to be an implementer in addition
Oh,
to my
nice.
practice. Yeah. But do you know how many nuggets I get from these folks? The amazing journeys they've had? From my kids who are, like, in their 20s, and I've got a niece living with me in her 20s, and they teach me things all the time. There's this whole book thing that I'm doing with a couple of other folks, implementers in EOS, and she's, "Are you creating a content map around that?" I'm like, "Please explain to me what this concept map is." You know what I mean? So, like, those folks that don't want to grow because they know it all, they would never come to me for help anyway.
Mm.
And they're the ones that are holding companies back. And maybe it's not everyone, but the folks that I have spoken with that are like, "Oh, yeah, I've done that. I know that." If you can't grow, then you're going the opposite direction. And I'm sorry, even if you look at the strategy, because you're technology, right? If I were to take a look 5 years out from a strategic perspective alone, like creating a strategy for a company, ChatGPT can help you with that. The execution part of it, I'm sorry, that's an entirely different ball of wax, and that's what EOS is. So you might know it, you might have the strategy for it, but if you can't execute against on it consistently, you're going to go the opposite direction.
So I would say yes, and actually, the strategy you're going to get from ChatGPT is not going to be a good strategy unless you tell it, to use Richard Rumelt's definition, it's going to be something you cannot execute on. Because
Yeah.
what most people do with a strategy, there's a whole other podcast.
You know what?
Rumelt
Maybe
has,
we do a second one. I don't
yeah, we
know.
might have to, but that one I've just seen really get people tied in knots because most of the tools that are considered strategic come from a point in time and people just grab them and they end up with these grand
Uh,
master plans that nobody could execute.
yeah. That's good to know. That means I'm secure in both parts.
Yeah. Now, what I will say though is because of what AI can do incredibly well,
Yeah.
the very best people I know in every domain are all realizing and have realized I'm going to take all these things I thought were super valuable skills I had, and I'm just going to let those go because AI is going to take care of a huge portion of what it won't take care of. What you're talking about. How do we interact with other people? How do we create the systems by which we align and make decisions? How do we address those two-legged problems? All those things those don't go away. We just need fewer resources sometimes to realize those visions, but we don't know what's going to happen in 5 years.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Very
And
true. I like that your eyes got all twinkly when I said that.
oh, this is one. So we are deep in the AI. We have redone our processes. We're doing a big announcement on April 17th around how we're bringing AI and agentic workflows in. And they're not there to tell you, like, they can help you get unblocked, but they won't tell you. LMA is pretty simple, right? They're not going to get you past being uncomfortable having a candid conversation with someone.
Yeah. No.
And
No.
and you can't just go, okay, give me 10 bullet points and let me throw that into an email and have that be your performance review. Like that also
Oh
not
my
gonna
god.
work.
I bet you any amount of money though that happens. I'll bet
I've
you
seen
that
it happen.
happens.
I've
And
seen it happen.
yeah, and that just makes my stomach turn, right? Also, because 'cause you're going from a performance review, nothing on my performance review should be a surprise to me because we should have been having conversations throughout, so when it comes to me, I know exactly what's gonna be on there.
100%.
And that is so doesn't happen. And it's not just with small companies, it's with large companies. Like I was sharing with you before. So EOS's target market, like 10 employees to 250, 300. If you're looking at it from I look at it from a mind perspective, or do you want to grow? So I've got
Mhm.
some that are like around 2 million and one that's a billion. And both of those mindsets want to grow, but some because of one reason or another, the way they might act is the same. Some of them might still have issues around having difficult conversations, even though they've got step by step of here's the way to open up a conversation, to have a
Mhm.
conversation. It's amazing.
There's so many directions we can go. One, I mean, you said 7 things also. I wanna make sure I hit the ones I have down to come back to. So focusing, Scott, I'm gonna focus. You had this bullet point in the article, right? No regular check-ins, management gap. No clear goals or culture, leadership gap. No consistent hiring or firing criteria, both.
Yeah.
And what got my attention, I realized I read this in, but you didn't say it explicitly, but EOS builds it in. If your hiring and firing criteria don't build in the culture in terms of your values and
Yep.
using something like a people analyzer, I, that's a problem.
Yes. Yes. It is. Every quarterly after that I have with my clients, and I'm sure my colleagues are the same, when we're going through the Vision Traction Organizer or VTO, which is a 2-page strategic plan that goes very high level down to bite-sized pieces. Core values. How are you using your core values? What are you doing with your core values? Here's some best practices of what other people are doing with core values. And it is very helpful. The more they think about it, the more they integrate it, the more people are using them for hiring, firing, managing performance, rewarding, and recognizing, right? I have had it where some companies have been afraid to roll anything out. And it's just so why are you doing this? Because right now the executive leadership team have got all these tools and you can see their cadence is getting better and they're talking to each other and breaking down silos. But that's 10% of the company. What do you want to do with the other 90%?
That's
So
a bit of a pet peeve of mine.
yeah.
Why not get it? Why not get it? I mean, there are some organizations, some types of companies, I should say. If you have restaurants, there everybody doesn't have to have a level 10.
True.
I get that. But if there's anything where you do need leadership, management, and accountability, or you want to be sure you're hiring the core values, there are you can still use multiple of the EOS tools even in those cases.
And I would even say I'd say for restaurants, even having a huddle, like talking about things, having core values, shout outs, people
Mhm.
still want to be recognized. There's this one company that I worked with, oh my god, forever ago. I was still in LA. I was right around COVID. They're a pipeline company, and they have welders, and those welders didn't they were always angry at each other and other parts of the organization, and then they rolled out EOS, and they started having 20-minute level 10s once a week, and the silos broke down. And I was there for one of their barbecues where they had their state of the company and core values shout outs, and it was really cool knowing that you could get people that couldn't stand each other to break down silos and talk about stuff. And those if somebody wasn't or they weren't a core values fit, so they didn't fit the culture, and you really need to determine what the pathway is for that. Because I you can teach me how to read code, but you can't teach me how to be humbly confident. That's in my DNA or not.
Do you think that reminds me of a of another thing I've seen when we've helped companies integrate? If an issue gets raised to in a level 10, do you feel like anything is too small of an issue in terms of how the company's running? Or are some things not be raised? Or should all things be on the table?
So I'm going to answer that in a couple of ways. So the first thing is if the company has rolled out EOS to the organization and it's something that shouldn't be at the executive leadership level, it should be dropped down.
Hmm.
Then this way it can be dealt with at a lower level. But let's just say we're just learning EOS. We've only been doing it for, I don't know, 6, 9 months. We've rolled it out, but it's not perfect yet. I would say put it on the list, and if it's, once because you prioritize the top 3, IDS it, which is identify, discuss, and solve. I don't know if the people on this know that.
Some do, a lot do, some don't, but we get sound bites so we can educate people. So give it to
Beautiful, there
us.
you go, there's the soundbite. It's identify, discuss, and solve. I think that if there's something that needs to be addressed, put it on the list. Even at EOS worldwide, we drink our own Kool-Aid, you know that, I'm pretty sure. We were at our annual not just a few weeks ago, and everything, just throw it on the board. We're gonna IDS it, have a solution for it, have some sort of solve. But I will say that if within an organization, the whole organization has had it rolled out and they're all managing at their level 10 meetings, and it's something that is brought to the executive level and it should be dropped down to a different part of the company, I would do that. But I wouldn't want to stifle people from
Yeah, but it's interesting because the comments I've heard are, "This is too basic of an issue for us." Great, it needs to be dropped down. If there's no but it's not, I don't think any issue. What I like about the concept of dropping it down, this is what I mean to say. What I like about the concept of dropping it down is you're not saying the issue's not important. You're just saying this really needs to be handled at a different level
Yeah.
because they're in position to do it versus, I shall not dirty my mind with this. Because I've seen even small issues start to impact a company's performance
Oh,
when
God,
they're
yes. Yeah, so what I talk to the companies I work with is that idea. So let's just say, let's just go with your thing. But we had a small issue. We'll say it belonged in operations or customer service. We dropped it down to the customer service level 10. They did what they could do about it, but they're like, it just keeps coming back. We need help. And so it might be bubbled back up. So it's a two-way line of communication. I haven't seen it where it goes back and forth so much. But if they're like, yeah, it's a small problem and we can't figure out what the heck the root cause of the problem is. If it needs to go back up, it does. Because I like you, if I feel like my problem is being ignored, it's gonna fester and I'm gonna talk to people about it. So it becomes a much bigger problem than what it probably was in the beginning
what when you it becomes a bigger problem because you talk to them about it, or
because
if you don't?
nobody talked about it.
Nobody talked about it. Yeah, that's what I see happen more often. I
Yeah,
mean, sometimes you make a decision, "Hey, this we've got bigger problems right now, we'll have to come back to it."
yeah.
That I get. Where I think I've seen teams get themselves in trouble is they're just frustrated that a problem's there, so they don't wanna address it or sit through it being addressed.
Yeah, no, and I get that. And so one of the things with being an implementer, they get the joy is if they don't have it dealt with by the time I get there, we're going through it. And I will not only do we deal with and I know it says deal with long-term issues. That's my hit number one. Hit number two is what's on the wall, like what's not working that they talked about. Hit number three is that list. And we're gonna go through everything with a fine tooth comb to make sure that we get everything knocked out.
I love that. Are there any closing thoughts you have? Anything you wanna make sure our listeners are aware of or know?
I think you hit a lot. I would have people read How to Be a Great Boss. I would have them read Four Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive and manage to that. Get it, read it, manage to it, have people use it with their people. That's it.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And if people wanna reach you,
Oh, Jacki.Kibler at eosworldwide.com. Please reach out. I'm happy to tell.
awesome, and we'll have that available in the show notes as well. Well, thanks
Awesome.
so much for being on.
Thank you. Thanks. It was great being here, Scott. I'm looking forward to part two.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode. Be sure to hit the like button below and click the subscribe button to be notified when new videos drop. See you next time.